Welcome back to the final part of the final debate of the week. This is the Europa League action that's been going on this evening. Good night for Manchester United. Not so good for Celtic, Arsenal, but Rangers and Wolves are relatively happy also. Rosenior and Mark Warburton alongside me here in the debate studio. 119th minute goal for Olympiacos, Mark, that's put pay to Arsenal's Europa League odyssey. It's been relatively successful before then, unbeaten in 10 in all competitions. Aubameyang, we're going to come on to in detail in just a second. He missed a gilt-edged chance late on in the game. Does this rock the boat for what Arteta's done, establishing himself at Arsenal? Do they buy too much into it? Does it put more pressure on them to finish in the top four, given they're currently 9th in the Premier League and 7 points away from that particular position?
It's certainly an upset. I'm sure no one really saw that result coming this evening. They're at home with a strong team, so it's certainly a kick. But it's a long-term project with Mikel, and I'm sure the board know exactly what he's looking for. As Liam talked about earlier, he's building it, adding energy, etc. to the squad and the fans. I'm sure excited by that. So no doubt it's a backward step, but it's a long road ahead, I think.
The fallout from the game, obviously, is the instant reaction to the actual result, Liam. But then do you look at perhaps Aubameyang's position? He's not been too vocal about extending his contracts in a positive way beyond the end of next season. His brother seems to be a little bit noisier with regard to where the next port of call might be. Obviously taken to goal scoring in the Premier League like a duck to water.
Yeah.
Is that something that Mikel Arteta would be wary of now? Because he's quite obviously said a player of his quality deserves Champions League football.
That's exactly it. And you can't, if you want to, and Aubameyang for me is up there in the very best forwards in the world in terms of his goal scoring record is incredible. I don't think his actual footballing ability is spoken enough. It's all about his goal scoring record, what he brings to a team.
Just his goals.
No, but do you know what I love about it? He works so hard for the team. He wants to press the ball. He works without the ball. And I think that's something that Mikel Arteta has really made everyone buy into since he's come into the club. What I would say about Arsenal is it's that age-old thing. Does it surprise me that they can see 2 goals at home when they need to hold on against away goals against the Olympiacos? No, because it's always been their Achilles heel in terms of when they really need to see a game out. Do they see a game out? And I think that's something that, in time, Mikel Arteta will change. I think he's made a huge change to their process and the way they play. There's been a huge change in the energy and intensity that his players are playing at. But coaches aren't magicians. It takes time. And I think given the right amount of money to spend, which I think is key at Arsenal, I think he'll get his players in. I think they're going to be a much, much better side in the future.
Well, as I said, Mark, going into this game, it was 10 games unbeaten in all competitions. We saw what happened with Everton, going a goal down very early on. Character to come back, again, a poor goal. But in that instance, to manage to dig themselves out of a hole, there's only a finite amount of times you can possibly do that. As Liam says, you have to address the fundamentals, which defensively, for an Arsenal side, which, as we know of yesteryear, was built on a rock-solid foundation, it's not been that, has it?
No, it hasn't. But again, you have to get your players in the squad. He'll want to put his fingerprint and his stamp on that squad, and it takes time. Quite rightly said, it takes time. It won't happen in days and weeks. You talk about months to implement that and develop that philosophy and the belief within the playing squad. And it will take 2-3 windows, whatever it may be, for Mikel to get his chosen players in. Is the finance available? All these questions will come out. But it's a long-term project there. It's no disrespect to previous managers anyway, but he'll want to put his stamp, his identity on his Arsenal team.
That's the question of perhaps recruitment, but do they look at the players such as Saka and Martinelli, young players that have come in? I mean, Saka in particular played in theory out of position, but shining at left back.
It's great to see.
Does that give them a bit more patience from the fans, a bit more leeway? Because we all love a player that's come through, don't we?
I think fans want to see a team play for the badge. I think you're seeing that with Mikel's teams at the moment. You see Nketiah come in, couldn't get a game at Leeds. He's starting and scoring goals for us. Yeah, but that's what happens if you have a way of playing. A player might not fit into one way of playing, fits into another way of playing. And that's what Mikel brings, is a really strong identity in the way that he wants to play. And he wants to play high-energy football. And if the players aren't playing, it doesn't matter whether it's the biggest names or a young player like Nketiah. If you're not doing what he's asking, the fundamentals and working hard, you're not going to be in that team. And I think Arsenal have missed that over the last few years.
The Aubameyang issue, it's a big name player, but the stats and his contribution really does stack up, doesn't it? And we're talking about the approach of younger players, but he's obviously leading the line. He's obviously cost a lot of money. It would be one hell of a gap to fill, wouldn't it, with regard to what he brings to the team, Mark? And we spoke earlier on about transfer windows. Obviously, admitted that was about the Championship, but going rate for a player such as that to try and replace him would be astronomical.
Absolutely. Where do you start? And again, it's getting that balance right about the squad, where you want the young players, Sakas and Ketches, to come through, who come through the academy and feel part of the club. It's their club. But clubs of the stature of Arsenal, Man U, etc., have to have the best talent available. They need to be backed, and there's a price where certain clubs can't go to. I appreciate that. But someone like Mikel Arteta will demand better players to surround and mentor his younger players. And the board need to back him, I believe.
So disappointment for Arsenal. Good night for Manchester United. They thumped Club Brugge 5-0. Bruno Fernandes scored, had a hand in 3 goals also. He seems to have hit the ground running just when Man United needed him. Yeah,
he's the type of player they've been crying out for. I think Juan Mata's been an outstanding player over his time in the Premier League, another one who's done great things, and they needed someone younger with that creative element, because you've got pace in Rashford when he's fit, Martial, Daniel James. Without Pogba in the side, they really lack someone who's going to find that killer pass. And as well as that, to score goals and create, he's an outstanding footballer, and they've done really, really well to get him, because there were teams that are really, really close to taking him before them.
Wolves lost tonight, but they won 6-3 on aggregate against Espanyol. Does Nuno's side get the credit that they deserve?
I think they are getting the credit in the right way, because, I mean, tremendous to win 4-0 the first leg. An outstanding achievement. Put together a squad. I love the way they did their business early back in the Championship, to go back and to come forward now with that winning mentality. And he's maintained that. No mean feat to carry that on, to introduce new players, adopt the playing style philosophy. All credit to him.
Likes a small squad, doesn't he? Again, what's the length of time that you can keep faith with that? Because you're still at the mercy of form and fitness, aren't you?
You are, but there are benefits of having smaller numbers in a group, because players who feel like they're not in a team feel they're that much closer to the team. You can work a lot harder individual sessions on the coaching field. You don't have to fit 22, 23 players onto a training pitch. You can really, and I see that in the way that his teams play. He really has another manager with a real style and identity in the way that he plays the game. They're so well organised without the ball. They're so difficult to break down. And when you've got the pace of Traore and counter-attack and Jimenez to finish off goals, they're a very, very strong team.